Good morning, students. Welcome back to English Literature class. Today we are going to do an important poem from your Treasure Trove textbook, I Know Why the Caged Bird Sings. It is written by Maya Angelou. She was an Afro-American writer and she was a civil rights activist. And she uses two powerful metaphors here in this poetry called the free bird and the caged bird. So here, free bird represents the white people and the caged bird represent the black people. So let us see what the poetry is all about. Similar to how we Indians had many freedom poetries written during our struggle, in the USA they had raised their voice against two major issues at this time. So one was racism, that was a fight for the rights of black Americans, and the other one was gender fight for the equal rights of women. Now poet Maya Angelou, she was both Afro-American and a feminist writer, and she was civil rights activist for both these oppressed groups and was nominated for Pulitzer Prize and National Book Award. She was also very close to Martin Luther King in her protests. In 1969, she wrote this poem at the time of slavery in the USA. So this poem is a very powerful anti-slave protest with the metaphor used here as birds. The poem talks about two birds here. One is the free bird and the other one is caged bird. And here the free bird is a metaphor for white Americans, which stands for freedom, and the caged bird is a metaphor for black Americans, which stands for enslavement. Clearly through the alternative paragraphs the differences are brought out here. Free bird has a free life of dignity and infinite possibilities they have. They can fly wherever they want and they enjoy a life and keep broadening their horizons. Whereas the black Americans or the caged bird, it has a life of fear, longing and subjugation. They continue to sink deeper into negation but continues to sing his song of desire for freedom. Let us begin with the first stanza. A free bird leaps on the back of the wind and floats downstream till the current ends, and dips his wing in the orange sun rays and dares to claim the sky. This entire stanza talks about the white Americans or the free bird. It gives a very striking image of a free bird here, and the circumstances are very favorable for a free bird. So we can see here it leaps, which means jumps on the back of the wind and floats downstream till the current ends, which means wind carries the free bird along with it and smoothly they keep gliding together with the current of the wind. So the fly is very unrestricted here. Nobody is going to stop them. They have all the freedom to fly the way they want and they can enjoy the beauty. See the next lines, and it dips his wing in the orange sun rays, which means the words like downstream, dip or orange, that represents the sunset at the sea. So he has all the freedom to even dip his wing in the beautiful orange sea. And the last line, orange also represents positive energy here. So everything is very positive when it comes to white Americans or the free bird here. And it dares to claim the sky, which means it is bold enough to demand his rights over everything possible. He thinks that this entire sky is his own or the entire universe is his own, which symbolizes that the white Americans think that the entire country is their own. They don't have to give a share to anyone else. And they have limitless possibilities, limitless resources. So basically this entire stanza, it is very positive and talks about only about the free bird or the white Americans. Let us move on to the next stanza. But a bird that stalks down his narrow cage can seldom see through his bars of rage. His wings are clipped and his feet are tied, so he opens his throat to sing. If you notice here, it is completely a contrasting condition compared to the first stanza. First stanza spoke about the free bird, and this is the alternative second stanza which talks about the caged bird, metaphorically talking about the black Americans. So here stalks means it tracks. A bird that stalks down his narrow cage. So moving up and down, tracking, moving up and down his narrow cage, small cage, he is struggling to come out of it. The frustration is building up here, and narrow talks about the confined area, the restricted area here. And he can seldom see through his bars of rage. Seldom means hardly, very less number of times. He cannot even see through the beyond his cage. He has no idea what exists beyond that particular area. He doesn't know about the limitless possibilities that can be there once he comes out of the cage. And he has his bars of rage. Bars of rage means racial discrimination or the subjugation imposed upon them, imposed upon the blacks by the hatred of the whites here. And his wings are clipped and feet are tied, which means clipped and tied represents how it is they are pulled down to the ground. So opportunities are denied for them, freedom is forcibly taken away from them. So he opens his throat to sing. That is the only way for him to express himself, by singing. The frustration, the sadness, fury, and the fear felt by the blacks are represented here through this stanza. And they are trapped. They cannot envision anything. They cannot plan. They cannot hope. They cannot dream anything. If you notice, a bird is tied to the ground. It represents an image which is completely opposite to the true nature of a bird. As we know, birds are supposed to keep flying there. This represents the fact that alienation of a bird is shown here. Bird cannot fly. But the most important thing that you have to notice is, despite being in this utterly hopeless situation, the caged bird opens his throat to sing. That seems to be his only achievement in life. So that is all about the second stanza, about the Black Americans or the caged bird. The third stanza. The caged bird sings with the fearful trill of things unknown but longed for still, and his tune is heard on the distant hill, for the caged bird sings of freedom. So third stanza is once again about the caged bird. And when he sings being within the cage, his sound is not a pleasant or calming voice. The song is not so melodious. It is a fearful trill. Trill means very high pitched, terribly scary voice it is. So terribly fearful, and he never knows what freedom feels like. So he has that fear because in case if he gets freed from his cage, he doesn't know what is awaiting for him. Sometimes when we are within that restricted area, we might think that the other world seems beautiful, more pleasant. From far away, it looks so. For example, when you are in a school life, you might be thinking of the college life as a pleasant one. You might think of it as a total freedom for you, and you might think that you can enjoy the college life, but it doesn't completely have to be that way. When you go there, you might realize that it is more of a responsibility, and nobody is going to teach you from spoon feed you. Literally, you have to make your own work, and such realization comes only when you reach that stage. So same way, when the caged bird is inside and thinking of the freedom, it might think of it as a very pleasant one, but at the same time it has that hidden fear about how does it actually feel. It doesn't know how the freedom feels like. So shrilled painful sound for the harassment or the torture or even death. Once you are inside the cage, you might think that outside is pleasant, but who knows, once you come out of it, what might be awaiting for you is all death. So she has that fear because when you think of the background information here, Martin Luther King and Malcolm X, who fought for civil rights along with Maya Angelou, both got killed in the process. So the same thing has been brought to her memory when she wrote this. That is why she has that fear. And his tune is heard on the distant hill. So when he sings of the freedom that is denied to him, he longs for it, he aspires for that unknown opportunity, and this freedom is the birthright of every human being. And the sound cannot be confined, it cannot be suppressed. It is carried to distant places for those who can be motivated to free the caged bird. So the caged bird sings as loudly as possible so that somebody or the other who has the will to help the caged bird, to free the caged bird, they can hear it and come and help. So people cannot be oppressed for a very long time. They will struggle against all the odds, and they will raise their voice to be heard to faraway places. So its impact will be too powerful to be ignored. So when the caged bird has been living within the cage, it accumulates all its energy, suppressed energy will be there. The only way it can let it go is through its voice. So that is what the caged bird is doing here. The shrill is very powerful here. So as loudly as possible, the caged bird is singing for the freedom. Next, fourth stanza. The free bird thinks of another breeze, and the trade winds soft through the sighing trees, and the fat worms waiting on a dawn bright lawn, and he names the sky his own. This stanza is once again about the free bird, and the free bird is thinking of another breeze. Another breeze here means another opportunity to fly high. He has already experienced the joy of flying free and the warmth of the sun and the beauty. We have already seen in the first stanza how he got an opportunity to dip his wing through the sunshine, and the free bird wants even more of it. He wants to explore more new opportunities and trade winds soft through the sighing trees. A trade wind here means wind blowing steadily towards the equator. Earlier we had seen how he was gliding smoothly along with the wind till it ended softly through the sighing trees. Sighing tree here means the rustling sound the leaves make when the wind blows. So that is the reference to sighing trees. And we can also give another interpretation here. Trees are also tied to the ground like birds. Birds are meant to be flying high in the sky, but they are caged. Same way, maybe even the tree has a desire to blow freely to the wind, move freely to the wind, but its roots are tied to the ground. So even the tree is in a way disappointed, and the fat worms waiting on a dawn bright lawn. So here fat worms means it is the easy food, which means the white man is self-sufficient. He can earn whatever he wishes. Food is readily available as soon as the free bird wakes up on a brightly lit lawn, and everything is made easy and convenient for the white man. He doesn't have to struggle for anything. And all the resources of the world are open to him. He has the choicest picking of his food. The fattest worm is there for him to relish, and the same opportunity is not available for the caged bird. So whereas the caged bird needs to be fed inside his prison, he has no choice. Whatever is given to him, he has to take only that. He is captive there. And white man has no idea about the sufferings of the black man. Unless you get into the shoes of the black man, white man will never experience it. He will never understand it. So he claims that the sky is his. He considers himself to be the owner of the entire sky. He names the sky his own, which means he thinks he is the owner of the entire universe. Only he has the rights to the resources or the opportunities that the world has to offer. And he does not even consider sharing it with the black man. So in a way, we can say that white man is utterly selfish here, whereas black man is longing to experience a small bit of it. So we are back to talk about the caged bird in the fifth stanza. But a caged bird stands on the grave of dreams. His shadow shouts on a nightmare scream. His wings are clipped and his feet are tied, so he opens his throat to sing. So the last two lines are repeated here. So let us see what does it mean. But a caged bird stands on the grave of dreams. So this is a very dark contrast to the condition of a free bird which we just saw in the fourth stanza. So the grave of dreams. So here that means the dreams are dead here of his freedom. The dreams are already buried. It's the worst thing that can happen to anybody, because if no dreams are there, then there is no hope. And the life is nothing but a torture. When you don't have any hopes to live, then that life sounds so meaningless. His shadow shouts on nightmare scream. And his existence is negated here. He is not even sure of his own identity any longer. And the caged bird is now nothing but a shadow, not even a real entity. He still makes all the efforts to scream loudly as he lives now like a nightmare. Nothing positive in his life. Everything is a sad thing. And life is meaningless. Nothing to look forward to. Every hope is shattered in his life. His wings are clipped. Once again, everything is tied there, and his feet are tied. He opens his throat to sing. So even in this worst condition, the bird opens his throat to sing because it is only his song that can liberate him. Nothing else can liberate him. He has no other power other than his throat. So that is the fifth stanza. Last stanza. The caged bird sings with the fearful trill of things unknown but longed for still, and his tune is heard on the distant hill, for the caged bird sings of freedom. The entire stanza is repeated. So the third paragraph is repeated here to emphasize that no matter how hopeless and frustrating the condition becomes, the caged bird will still continue to sing. It's a song of freedom. And this song will give expression to its sufferings and its thirst for freedom. It will be heard far and wide, and the blacks will continue to struggle against all the odds, and in due course they will surely be liberated. That is the only hope the bird has. That's why it keeps singing there. Captive bird's wings are clipped, feet are tied, but his throat is not choked yet. So this is something the poet felt at heart, and that is why she uses the title, I Know Why Caged Bird Sings. So another explanation to this entire poetry as a whole, it can also be taken as a differentiation between men and women in society. So we already saw that it as a contrast between white man and black man. Another concept what we can take here is the gender hierarchy, the gender differences here. Patriarchal society. So women are oppressed in the patriarchal society. There was gender inequality. So in that case, you can take men as free birds here and women as caged bird. So this is another view to the same poetry. And this can also be taken as a comment on people who oppress others, maybe in terms of social classes or economical hierarchy, rich and poor, or the caste system and all these. Through this poem, she illustrates the nature of both freedom and captivity by creating a stark contrast between the two, using the birds as metaphors here. Let us now go through the poetic devices used in the poetry. The most prominent one is metaphor. With the help of caged bird and the free bird, they are the metaphors used for white Americans and the black Americans. Other than that, the poet uses metaphors in indirect comparison. For example, when she compares wind to the water, and she compares downstream and current, with the usage of that, she makes us think of the tides in the sea or ocean. So floats downstream or till the current ends, these are the metaphors. Next poetic device is alliteration. As you already know, alliteration is the repetition of consonant sound with the first letters of the words. For example here, seldom see through, S and S is repeated. Next one is fat worms waiting, W and W repeated here. Shadow shouts, S and S repeated here. The next poetic device is rhyme scheme, end rhyme and internal rhyme. With the end rhyme, the words like trill, shrill, trill, hill and still. So these are the words that come at the end of each line. So these are the end rhyming words. And within the poetry, within the stanza itself, we have internal rhymes like dawn and lawn. The next one is imagery. Imagery is where you are able to picturize it in your mind. The situation, you will be able to imagine it in your mind. For example, orange sun rays, distant hills, fat worms, sighing trees. All these things you can imagine in your mind. You have already seen such images earlier in your life. And the last one is personification, where you apply human qualities. So, for example, here the bird dares to claim the sky, or name the sky as his own, or the bird sings of freedom. All these things are human qualities the birds usually don't do. So these are the personification. With that, we are done with the poetry. I hope you all have understood. If you have any doubts, you can ask me in the comments section. Thank you, students.